Hi, Tom Cole, the coach for Steve Taylor, Community Star. And really is a special honor today. Supercross and I think one of the great men in our community, Chet Welch, who is the owner, CEO, and president of Welch Publishing, which is many things, but one of them that I read every edition is the Perrysburg Messenger Journal.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, I know you do a lot of publishing, but it's such a great paper. And we had chatted previously, I think, Chet, that nothing pejorative to the Blade. They've been a great paper for a long time. And you know, economics of the paper world today, as you know, drove them down to 2 days a week, which is a little tough for a main paper like the Blade have been to our community. So people in the community rely on your paper to tell them what's going on, you know, what's happening. What people need that information. How tough has it been in the business? You've thrived, but how have you been able to do it? Because a lot of people can't.
Well, Tom, I mean, obviously it is kind of a different time.
Yeah.
It's, you know, we have 170 years of history within our Perrysburg Messenger Journal newspaper. Third generation owner. My grandparents bought it in 1969. But I would say the challenges now are, you know, you have like a Facebook, for instance, okay? Facebook is wonderful. We can all communicate. We keep in touch. When Facebook first came out, I thought, this is gonna be so great. I'll be able to keep in touch with my cousins, you know, some classmates and all that fun stuff. Well, it's evolved into anything but that. Now, with that, you know, Facebook doesn't have a reporter or an editor. They republish stuff. They share stories. They share content. You know, we actually hire and have reporters attend. And then the reason why you mentioned about the importance of the paper, people want that, is because Peyton is sitting in city council meetings. She's sitting in school board meetings. She's writing those stories. She's, you know, we are having to have them edited, proofed, and all this stuff. So, you know, with the economics of this stuff, I think it's important for the advertisers to know that, you know, you want local journalism, you need to have local advertising. And that's been one of the challenges we've had in the last couple of years is the local advertisers and stuff like that. So,
well, another thing to me, Chet, is again, you hit on the truthfulness. You know, Facebook, I'm with you, you know, the family, friends thing is phenomenal. There are other things that maybe aren't so great, and you know, you get one finger typing keyboard warriors sitting in the basement, and they'll write out stuff, and a lot of people read it, you know, well, it was on Facebook. But that doesn't mean anything.
It makes it true.
Well, I read it, and then they tell 100 other people, and we deal in so much misinformation, whereas you have standards in print journalism, and people can read the Messenger Journal and know that it's been covered, it's been proofed, and it's honest,
it's factual,
and I think people, they need that.
We're not out to. And when I hired Peyton, I told her, I said, we're never going to really scoop stories, but we are going to be accurate with our stories. We're gonna make sure that what we publish is the gospel. You know, we're going to make sure it's all fact checked, it's gone through. So we're never going to be like the very first person to, you know, like something happens, there's an accident on 25.
But that's not your business model.
No.
And Peyton, which we'll talk to, Peyton Lechner is your new editor. I know that she has great taste right off the get-go because she said she didn't like Cross enough. So you know, you gotta respect. You know, you gotta respect her judgment. That you know, it's gonna be.
Well, her judgment is much the same as everybody else's.
Who can not like you two?
Well, we can make a list for you, Chad, if you want. Go ahead, Cross.
And the thing is, Chet, it's so nice to have you in. It really, really is. I've known you for a very, very long time.
Yes, sir.
And, you know, we've been friends and you know, did some things outside of work together.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Out. Yeah, we know some people.
But the thing I want to say about you and my years of knowing you is you remind me so much of our boss, Steve Taylor.
Oh, nice.
Where you care about your staff. You know, you motivate your staff. You know, you're respectful of your staff. You value your staff. You know, I mean, where does that come from, and how important is that for you?
It's funny. I was sitting at Tom's desk just a couple minutes ago, and I saw his book sitting on his desk there, and I read his book because I read it cover to cover, and as I was reading the book, I started having flashbacks to my youth because I saw Steve's father brought him up like my father brought me up. You know, I wasn't just thrown into a printing business and said, "Here's the keys, you guys, you know, go have at it." I was in on Saturdays, when everybody else.
So you weren't born with a silver spoon
No,
in
sir.
your mouth?
No, I was dumping trash cans, sweeping floors, lifting paper and scraping ink out of barrels and all kinds of stuff. Anything, I started at the bottom, worked my way up. So when I read Steve's book, I really I thought, that's kind of who I am,
Right.
So I think those are values that have been instilled in our fathers. I think we've had some great representatives.
Yes.
Mr. Taylor, who we love his. I think he reads our paper cover to cover. From every page, every letter to every. Right. And I was so happy we had Steve's picture on the front page because I knew Mr. Taylor was.
Would they have that right away?
Be a proud father, but he brought Steve up, much like my father brought me up, through the business and stuff. So
Chet, you take the responsibility of community so seriously. First of all, you're revered in our community. I think, speaking for Cross too, I've never heard anybody say a bad word about you. That's unusual in today's climate.
It is.
We can let you look through our phone and you find out. But no one ever says a bad word. Everyone knows that your thrust for community is real. Mm-hmm. It's not fake. It's not contrived. You're an authentic guy, and I think that means something to people today. How does it feel to you to have that and hold? I know you're a humble guy, but to hold that position in our community.
I guess I look at it. I mean, yes, there's that responsibility and stuff. I just look at it like I enjoy going to work every day.
Right.
I enjoy getting up. I enjoy what I do. I love working in the community. I love meeting people like you. I'm a salesman, natural.
Right.
That's kind of my background is in sales.
Got it.
So I don't have a problem communicating with people. I don't have a problem, pulling a door, going and shaking somebody's hand, meeting somebody.
Right.
And so I guess I kind of use the sales part of owning the business now and running the newspaper as kind of my model, and just treat everybody like you want to be treated.
That's very important.
And there's three things I wanted to ask you today. You've been very, very successful in your business over the years, but what would be the top three things you think that has allowed you to be successful over the years? Number one, number two, and number three.
Wow. I think
just off the top of your head.
I think hard work is the number one.
Right.
I mean, you just have to outwork your competition.
Got to show up every day, right?
You got to show up every day.
Especially when you're doing it for yourself, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And as Steve said on Friday at our Rotary luncheon, he said I didn't have a PhD. So that teaches you a value of hard work and stuff.
Yeah.
So two is just to have a good product. I think have something that people want to read. We have loyal subscribers that we get snowbirds that right now they're down in Florida.
Yeah.
But doggone it, they want their newspaper.
Absolutely.
They want to know what's going on. They want to know their house values. If they see the neighbor down the street sold their house,
right.
They want to know, for tax purposes and everything else. So we put information in our paper for everybody in the community, But
and I know your paper just connect with people on such a personal level. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I think that's very, very important.
Well, like I said, 3 generations. I still remember the lady my grandparents bought the paper from. Her name was Betty Hart. And as a kid, I used to call her Grandma Hart and she always had and then this is a funny story. She had her house, we were on 6th Street. She had her house right next to my grandparents' house, and on the back of the house was our print shop, and it kind of went all the way back into the alley. Well, she always had peanut M&Ms, and she would always, I was a little kid, 5, 6, 7 years old,
you want some.
and she always gave me peanut M&Ms, and
they were good.
To this day, I still have, Costco has
some
Costco is like this, so I always think of Grandma Hart every time. But she actually owned the paper before my grandparents bought her out in 1969. So
such a history, Chad, of making a difference in our community. There's a book I'm sure you're familiar with, but it's Malcolm Gladwell, and it's called Tipping Point. And he came to a conclusion that what he was studying, what makes influence in our society? How are people influenced? And he came to the conclusion that it's all local. Something good happens locally in any community, And he said it's not a lot of times a grandiose bill or a piece of legislation. Something good happens locally, and then it, like dropping a rock in the water, it filters out then to other, And you've been doing that for how many years?
Right.
You're dropping that rock into the water, week after week after week, you know.
Well, and I think it was Bill Gates that said you want to surround yourself with talent. He always tried to hire.
That's very important.
And he always hired somebody that he felt was smarter than him.
Yeah.
And that's where Peyton comes in. You know, when you interviewed her, I mean, honestly, her first email, you know, as we were interviewing for editors and stuff, her first email just asking about the job stood out. The way it was worded. You know, I mean, it wasn't just, you know, so I knew right then and there I had to get her in for an interview and stuff. So, and it's that's part of it, is you have to have talent around you to,
absolutely,
just like any
and the one thing I try to, I say this repeatedly every week, and I try to inspire and encourage people. It's very difficult to be successful on your own. Okay, you need that.
You need support.
Behind
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's extremely so important. So I'm just so glad that you honor and you appreciate and you respect the people that you are working with.
My mom gave me some really valuable advice one time. She said, "You will never be the smartest person in the room." You know, I mean, you know, because you meet with people that they think
they know everything.
They know everything, and then they don't, and they lose all these great ideas that are floating around. You know, and you know, you can't ever think that. You have to respect what other people bring to the table and say, you know.
Well, a lot of times, Tom, in that situation, they're not listening to anybody else but themselves.
Right, and that's it, Cross. Yeah, they've already got their mind made up. And it's just a perfunctory. Well, we're going to meet, but you know. And you miss great, and that's, I know you're open-minded, Chet. Steve's the same way. I don't think Cross and I brought a lot of ideas. China and Corey brought a lot of ideas to Steve, and I can tell you, 7 years, not one time did he ever say, you know, hey, that's a really dumb idea. You know, get the heck out of here. Okay, don't bring me one of those again. You know, he would always say, even if it was something he didn't really think would work, he'd say, well, you know, I don't know.
We'll look at it.
Yeah, he said, we'll look at it, let's think about it. And then a lot of times he'll take the idea that he wasn't that hot on, then he'll move it around and tweak it, and suddenly we're doing it, and it works.
Isn't that what a good coach does?
I kind of think that is the deal.
When Ryan Day had to be told by his football team after the Ohio State Michigan game, I think his team basically said to him, "Hey, you have Jeremiah Smith. Get him.
What are we doing here?
Don't run the ball. Throw it to.
It's not that complex. Throw it out there, and I think certain things."
You know what? You know, I loved all my coaches all my life. I really have, because you know they just said, "Crosby, do what you do." Do what you do.
You know, I ran into my high school coach this fall at a couple games. Actually, saw him twice because his son's coaching at Otsego now. But it's just funny how you just always have a memory with your coach.
Yes.
You know, you always have that. They pushed you to be better. You know,
question.
And they always wanted what was better for you or what was best for you. And you know, I know you two both know that very well. The early mornings, I remember 6 a.m. workouts. You know, coaches unlocking the door. You know, you're in there lifting the cold weights, and you know, and weightlifting wasn't what it is now. I wish I'd have known about 9,000 calorie diets and stuff at 15 years old, because I'd have probably been this big in high school, and I'd have been better than Crosby then.
You're in good shape. You were outstanding.
That's very debatable.
You were an outstanding athlete.
But Crosby, they used to clock me with a calendar. They never clocked me with a stopwatch.
Well, but you're right in saying that. Me and Tom always say the three most influential people in our lives, and in most people's lives, are our parents, teachers, and coaches.
Absolutely.
That's it.
I know both of you. You coached for quite a while, and I'm not. Did you coach as well?
No, never.
Okay, but you know the influence it has on many children and many kids.
Well, the kids will come up to you and say, and not me, but just because they'll come up and say, gee, and this is 20 years past, right? And they'll say, you remember, Coach, when you said that? I don't, you know. But then they'll say, that meant a lot to me. And, you know, I go, oh, gosh.
Isn't that something, the respect is when you, because as I saw my former football coach, I called him Coach.
Oh, yeah, they call you Coach.
He's still Coach to this day.
They call you Coach,
35, 36, 37 years later, it's like, he's still Coach.
You know, I've been getting it for 30 years.
And it's so impressive. I mean, you guys are absolutely right. It's so impressive that when I'm with Tom Cole and he sees a lot of his ex-students and athletes, even parents.
Oh yeah.
Most of them address him as coach. They don't say, "Hey Tom, how you doing?" They say, "Coach, how you doing?" You know what I mean?
I just think that's a respect thing that,
absolutely,
you know, that we just gain through, you know, the hard work and all that fun stuff.
Well, speaking of respect, we have the utmost respect for what you do in our community, the difference you make every day with your paper, informing people, keeping them connected in the community, positive things, uplifting people. I mean, it's so important, especially today. You know, today can be very tough on people, regardless of what side you're on any political spectrum. I think it's tough for folks today, and you present a positive view on pretty much everything that you report on, which is, you know, I'll give you one quick example on the way out. You know, my wife, we live in Toledo, South Toledo. She didn't know about the Perrysburg Messenger Journal. You know, I started bringing it home, and you know, she reads it, you know, all the time. And then I got it delivered to my house. She gets it before I get it, and I got to get it away from her because she reads the whole thing because she wants to know what's going on in the community. You know, and so you've been doing that for so long. We wish you nothing but the best, Chet. Keep doing what you're doing. You make a difference every day, and we are going to do. Come this fall, we'll do a high school football preview with Supercross, you and myself.
That'd be awesome.
And we'll have some fun with it. And so that's committed. We're going to do it.
That'll be fun.
All right, promise.
Thank you.
Thanks for being
Thanks for coming in, brother.
Thanks for being our community star, Chet. You
Thank
so
you, Tom.
deserve it. Tom Cole, the coach for Steve Taylor's Community Star.